Good evening, Professor. My name is Chidisa Mahal. As you can see by the title, today I'll be discussing on globalization and DEI in human resource management. And DEI means diversity, equation, and equity. And inclusion in human resource management. So pretty much, as you can see by the agenda, I'll be covering on nine topics: globalization, planning, recruitment, de-recruitment, selection, onboarding, training, performance management, and career development. So globalization. So what does globalization actually mean with the? So it's more like when it's more towards interdependence and inter and intercorrelations actually happen within like businesses or even countries, be it the cultures, be it the cultures, the working ethics, and as well as the economy. And one of the key components for globalization, if I could give an example, it would be Nepal. So Nepal has actually been able to export like maybe Himalayan salt, okay, export like Himalayan salt, water, Himalayan water, and a lot of like even our carpets, and even pashmina salts, and this has actually been pretty much this has actually led like a lot of countries like know like our country itself, and also pretty much be able to exchange cultural ideas as well. And for drives of globalization, for example, like technological developments, like for example, be it paperwork, because actually a lot of paperwork was done manually back in Nepal, and now since thanks to technology and thanks to a lot of countries actually helping us, this has actually let countries be able to exchange business ideas with us. So if we go into planning, so the importance of planning. For example, if you want to for example, if you desire to open a company, but you have a certain amount, this actually gives you a heads up, where a lot of planning can be done. For example, your finances and how you're going to take out the loan, or if you have enough workers, and pretty much that, and the location as well. And how does it align with DEI and globalization in human resource with planning? So with DEI, for example, if you desire to bring like a certain product to a certain company, be it, for example, in this case, internationally, you have to know the culture, and second of all, maybe even the language, and as well as maybe their likings in that sense, so you can get familiarized and know what caters them best in the sense. And this also helps your company even build relationships, and even build both economies, and pretty much bring beneficial factors to both company and your country as well. And the strategies of planning could be either done through a lot of research, even be it surveys, research meaning like through social media, maybe even social media platforms, even through YouTube's and radios in the sense. And you can actually get you pretty much get the gist of that, and this can actually help you build even more potentially in the future. So if we go into actually recruitment in this case, so recruitment actually means like for example, Indeed in this sense, Indeed for example, if a company plans to hire someone, or even be multiple employees at once, or even seasonal jobs. So you just have to meet the criteria. So this is where companies actually post out and find the potential employees in the sense. And how does it align with HR? Pretty much similar to what I've mentioned. And strategies for globalization and DEI, for example, maybe even criteria where you can mention for example, maybe knowing Chinese or even Japanese in the sense, and for maybe future businesses, or even for example, if it's a Japanese market, or even a restaurant itself. Okay. So sorry about that. And for example, in the recruitment, actually, it refers to with the recruitment, it actually mentions with a lot of where employees actually get laid out, or they get, for example, their hours get cut, or redundancy in this case, where companies actually open up a business in maybe a certain country, and then suddenly maybe the hype, or maybe the trend has changed, or maybe certain rules and regulations have changed, and then a lot of the company, or even prices in this case, could cause, like, employees to cut down on hours, because they might have failed to reach that budget, in a sense pretty much similar to that. And pretty much understand your equipment, like companies actually have to face those charges, or even be maybe their employees actually sorry the employees getting fired, or even for example if they are involved in certain dirty politics in this sense. And yeah, and the implementation in this could be, this actually gives companies an insight of what to work out best, so to avoid those kind of mistakes, or even be for the employees to have always a backup plan, to have a second job, or a second hustle in this sense. And if we go into selection, so selection is more towards where, for example, after for example, as recruitment, after the recruitment is done, maybe you find the potential employee, be it for the skills, maybe even for example in modeling, they have the features, they have the body, if they just meet the criteria. And this is where a lot of them actually start to even like put them in maybe even several trials, so that they get to know, like what, if they fit the criteria. And with the implementation and strategies in DEI and globalization, for example, if you want to open a company, or even if you want to just like maybe open a site, this is where a lot of research is also required. And then after, maybe you find a country that suits best for your maybe product, or be it your site, you start to develop those plans. And then if after you reach the criteria, you maybe go there, or maybe you start to develop with maybe their own native people, so that you can actually get a hold on the business, or even your target goals. And so with onboarding, so pretty much similar to after selection, onboarding is it's more onboarding is more towards how employees actually start to get to know the company's policies, and this is where they actually start to adjust to the life, and how it actually works. So after that's done, like onboarding, like what's the use of onboarding in this? So it's more so onboarding's use, it's for example, you get feedbacks from your coworkers, or even for example in areas that they may feel you lack. Like for example, I used to work in Fairmont Pacific Rim, and after my 3 months evaluation was done, I actually got like a letter, and as well as a letter, and actually a sheet where they take and mentioned, like my strengths and weaknesses. So pretty much similar to that, this is where they actually start to work with the employees, so that they can sustain a relationship that is both beneficial for them, and for the company as well, in a sense. And yeah, pretty much yeah, I would say it's pretty much related to that kind of. And with training, so so pretty much similar to onboarding training, but training more focuses on, the criterias, or even, for example, maybe the day-to-day taxes, or even exchange of, like, maybe even within their own industrial platforms, so that they actually have an idea or a context where they can utilize those factors. And then for example, in training, like, if you hire new workers who might not speak the language that you have, or even English itself, this is where you can actually get them to know, like, certain words, and maybe even carry out conversations in this sense. And also, this is where you can polish their skills, and also understand what works out best for them in this sense as well. And through training, actually, a lot of them get sent for either, like, cultural sorry curriculum activities, like, for example, maybe even, like, sending them to um, speeches, or even for competitions. Yeah, pretty much to that, so that they can maybe gain a sense of knowledge, or even for them to build confidence in this sense, kind of. And performance management, performance management in this actually implements towards, like, a lot of like, after the evaluation is done, and they start to evaluate, like, for example, in the textbook, in chapter 7, and the video that you posted on Greg Hughes, so sorry, there was actually a level of satisfaction, as mentioned, like, for example, 1 to 9. So pretty much similar to that, they ranked and they rated. And it's pretty similar to what I would say in onboarding, but it's more different. It's more towards, like, the level of sense. And then this is where actually, and this is also where actually a lot of companies like, evaluate maybe their sales from last year or this year, and or even the season itself, or so this actually gives an index on what they might be lacking in, or maybe even improving in the marketing methods and techniques. So after that's done, career development comes in. So career development is where, like, a lot of employees, or even the HRs, start to go for programs, or even get promoted, maybe from, like, general managers to even the CEO, onwards, or even be it, like, sending them to um, sending them to international business trade programs, or even for the sorry or even be for the companies that they have globally. Yeah, pretty much similar to that, I would actually say. So that's the part where they actually start to, so this can actually help them stay motivated, and stay pretty much loyal to the companies, and as well as this is where a lot of the for example, money, if there's a certain, for a certain position, there's a certain money rate, and this is where a lot of them actually also get motivated in a sense, and maybe see the pride, or maybe they passionately do want to do it. And yeah, pretty much in that as well. So I would actually, so to conclude, yeah, I've mentioned all of the criterias, and with the with DEI and with DEI and globalization, and its implementation in HR. That those are all the steps that those are all the criterial steps that would be required. Thank you so much.